What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Charlie Hustle, IAC Lifestyle, Unapologetically Unfiltered podcast. My lovely co-host Candace is off today. She's taking care of some business, so I will be flying solo, but it's all good. We're gonna make it through. And today I am joined by a very special guest who is nice enough to join us and give us some of his time today. He's gonna put us all on game. Very important topics that we're going to be discussing today. And his name is Professor Stephen Negben. So, Professor, would you please go ahead and just give an introduction of yourself and kind of give us some background on what kind of law you specialize in and all that good stuff for the viewers and the listeners?
Sure. We could be here for 20 minutes with my background, but, as you might remember from school, so the 3 Ps. So I am a practicing attorney. Let me turn this on. I'm a practicing attorney, and my emphasis is entertainment law. That's it. I get kind of crazy with what I call these ABC lawyers. They just get the alphabet. A, antitrust. Yep, I do that. B, bankruptcy. Yep, I do that. Then they get to E, entertainment. Yes, I do that. You ask them what their experience is. Oh, I negotiated the license for the local high school to do Bye Bye Birdie. That is not entertainment law.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So I'm a practicing entertainment law attorney, and I focus 100% on entertainment law. And then also, I'm a transactional attorney. So I put deals together. Litigators fight over it. Okay. And I'm also a producer. I've got over 30 productions under my belt.
Wow.
And a current project is I wrote a Christmas book, a children's Christmas book called Theodore's Plate. Got very well received, and we are now turning that into an animated Christmas special.
Congratulations.
So I'm an entertainment law attorney, I'm a producer, and then, of course, I'm a professor at the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences, as we call it, CRAS. And boy, I love it. And so that's a little bit of my background. And I think the common thread, everything is connected to entertainment. I don't do family law. I don't do crim law, so on and so forth. I don't do that. My big area is intellectual property, copyright, trademark, business formation, contracts, those types of things.
Very nice. And so for some background real quick, I went to CRAS, and that's how I met Professor, was taking some of his business law classes. And I will tell you now, hugely invaluable, the information that he gives along with the other professor there, just major, and it's definitely a game changer. And so that's why when I approached him about doing this, I was ecstatic that he was willing to, because I didn't know a lot of this stuff coming in. And I think there's probably a lot of people who have heard some of these terms, may have heard some of these things, but don't understand how it works or understand the importance of why, even if they don't, hire you for your services, at least approaching you and saying, hey, can you help me understand this better? Things of that nature. So I think that's huge that you, again, donated some of your time today to hop on with me. And I think if I'm ready, if you're ready, I'm ready to hop right in.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So let's start with where you went to school.
Okay. Well, I went to school late. I graduated from high school. I'm a self-starter. My background is really in writing. I consider myself a writer first, and I've written all kinds of different stuff, and produced and moved to New York and produced in New York. One of my claims to fame is I gave Jack Black his New York theatrical debut. And met my wife, my beautiful wife, and we had 2 children, and I still have 2 children. Unfortunately, she passed, but prior to her passing, she said, Steve, it's all well and good, show business, that's great, okay, fine, but get a job. She talked the talk and walked the walk. So I went back to Fordham University and got my undergraduate degree in religious studies. And then I went to the University of Texas and got my law degree. Now, At Texas, I got my head handed to me on a plate intellectually. You know, I was 4.0 at Fordham. I'm going to do all right. Yeah. Wait until you get to, but one claim to fame that I have that is rather special. I found it, myself and colleagues, we founded the University of Texas School of Law Review of Entertainment and Sports Law. So I'm one of 12 guys in the history of the University of Texas Law School to have founded a law review.
Wow.
So,
Very nice.
then got out of college and got out of law school and went to work for a couple firms in New York, learned my chops, and then unfortunately, my wife got ill with ovarian cancer, and we came back to Arizona to be with my friends and family. And then ultimately she passed, which is still a loss that I feel today. But that's a little bit of the background. And then started practicing entertainment law.
Very nice. Well, condolences about the loss of your wife.
Thanks.
I'm sure that's something that's isn't easy to move past.
No.
But I'm sure she's extremely proud of where you're at now and the work you're doing.
I hope so. I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that. Yes.
Definitely.
She's looking over my shoulder.
Oh, yeah. So now you say you're a writer and a producer first, and
Mm-hmm.
then moved into the legal side of it. So how long total have you been involved in the industry with all of those things?
Well, I was 19. I'm 60, so 40 years.
Wow. Okay.
I've been involved, and then I've been an attorney for a little over 25 and been producing for 40.
Very nice.
So
it's been in the game for a minute.
Yeah, a little bit.
And now, do you have a preference over which one you enjoy more?
In which, what do you mean? Which area?
The legal side, the producing.
Initially, I was really drawn to film.
Okay.
But being in Arizona, you have to be a little bit of a, kind of a general practitioner in the sense of do a little bit of, film, music, so on and so forth. And somehow, some way, I got moved into music more and more, which I actually love because I love music.
Yeah.
And so, as my clientele grew, I got more and more musicians. So I got more and more into, musical issues, copyright, that kind of thing as applied to the music industry. And then, of course, went and, took a professorship at Crass. So it was a little bit of a gradual move to be so much centered on music.
Yeah.
But that's where the clients came from, and I was not complaining because I love music, right?
So it's a win-win.
So that's a little bit of how I got into music, a little bit more than film. Now, film is still strong. I handle theater companies, photographers, anybody within the entertainment industry. But again, my biggest part of my practice is music.
Okay. Very nice. So now I can imagine going to school, being a husband, being a father, the workload was probably crazy. So how did your family deal with you having this workload and, kind of finding that balance, so to speak, of being able to be there with the family, but also make sure you're on top of your schooling and making sure that's getting handled?
Right. Well, luckily for the first part, I had Jill. Okay. And so Jill, took a lot of the pressure off me, right? She said, and she was really hardcore. She goes, Steve, you got to get a job. And so you're going to go back to school and you're going to do good. Yeah. Yes, Mom. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so she cleared the deck for me. She took care of the kids. You concentrate. And I'm proud to say that I did at Fordham, I graduated summa cum laude, 4.0. And it was because of her. She cleared the deck. Then, unfortunately, when she passed, of course, I had to start taking care of the children. And that was tough.
Yeah.
The balancing. So I did get kind of a part-time nanny, and took care of the kids. I'd go to work. I'd get them up in the morning, get them ready for school. And then I would go to work, and then the nanny would pick them up, bring them home, and then, of course, I would take over and dinner and putting them to sleep. But yeah, boy, there were some tough times, and that's a big part of coming back to Arizona. I had a lot of friends, but New York City is one thing when you're 25 and single, and it's another thing, and you're 45, and you've got 2 children under the age of 6.
Wow. Okay.
So I would go back to New York in a second, but discretion was the better part. So we came back to Arizona, and I've just kind of stuck. So I've been back for about a little over 20 years.
Okay. But I imagine then that moving back was, like you said, it's crucial. And I think that was part of what helped you move into the next stage of success, so to speak. Being able to have,
Greater.
making that move and having people here with you that can help you
Yes.
out. Okay.
Yes. So my parents helped a great deal, my brothers, and my friends, my old friends. So it was good. On that level.
Yeah.
Professionally, I would give my left arm to have stayed in New York.
Okay.
I really think that I would have done some good things. But hey, you do what you can.
Definitely. All right. So I think we're ready to move into the nitty gritty and the all the good stuff that we're really here for. So we're going to start off, and I will ask I think this is kind of going to set the foundation to where we're going. I think if people understand this, then they kind of have a better idea moving forward. So can you explain to us and the listeners and viewers what is intellectual property?
Well, let me take a step back first. Law recognizes 3 kinds of property: real property, dirt, buildings; personal property, house, car, computer; intellectual property, copyright, trademark, patent. Okay. And now there's a small difference between real property, personal property. They're there. You see them. They are tangible. Well, intellectual property is the value of the stuff in your head. Well, what's the problem? You can't see stuff in your head. Okay. So you got to get it out of your head. And as you know, the big magic words, fixed in a tangible medium of expression. When you've done that, in my book, I make the analogy, your song is a piece of dirt. Whoa, wait a minute. Dirt? Yes. But there's gold in them thar hills. Okay, so you gotta protect your intellectual property. And so your copyright is just like the title to your house, the title to your car. Copyright is the title to your intellectual property. Okay. Trademark, patent. Each one of those, yes, they got to get out of your head, but once they do, they're just like a car. They're just like your house, and you got to treat them the same way.
I like that. I think that's a good analogy. I don't think people realize how important protecting something like that, because everybody puts, I guess, insurance on their houses and insurance on their cars, and they do all these extremes to make sure that those things are protected. But I feel like this is definitely up there, whether it be, a writing that you're doing, a song, a short story, whatever the case is. I think it should help hold as much weight as protecting your house, like you said, or if you have some
Absolutely.
dirt.
Because let me put it this way. You've heard this, Charles, and I tell, all my students and all my clients, think of a $150 million train, okay? And you built it. The train starts pulling out of the train station. Hey, whoa, 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 wait a minute, man. I want to get on that train. Do you have a ticket? No, but I built it. Sorry, no ticket, no ride. What's your ticket? Copyright. Okay. And why do I use 150 million bucks? Because who wrote Thriller? Most people will go, Michael. As a second choice, Quincy Jones. No, no. It was a guy named Rod Temperton. Okay. He passed in 2012. In 2012, the estate revealed that he had made 120 million bucks as the songwriter of Thriller. Now, when he died in 2012, does the revenue spigot turn off? No, it keeps flowing. So now it's up to about 150 million bucks.
Wow.
Well, now it flows to the estate
Of course.
of Rod Temperton, right?
Yeah.
One song, 150 million bucks.
That's
Okay.
bananas.
And if you didn't get the title to your song, copyright,
Mm-hmm.
there goes the 50. There goes 150 million
Yep, there
bucks.
goes
Wait a
that
minute, I
train.
built that. Yep, but you don't have. It's just like building $150 million house, but you ain't got no title.
Yeah.
Now, whoa, wait a minute. Why, get the title. That's what establishes your value. That's what establishes your rights.
Okay.
Okay. And then, by the way, copyright is all federal. There's no state copyright. And let's get this clear right off the bat. There is no such thing as a common law copyright. Not anymore.
Poor man's copyright, they call it.
That does not exist anymore. Okay. It was explicitly done away with in the current code, which was passed in 1976. It's been amended. But under that version of the copyright code, the common law copyright was explicitly done away with. So if there's nothing else that comes out of this, your listeners and watchers don't rely on the common law copyright. It is not enforceable.
Now, real quick, Professor, I know what that is, but can you explain to those who may not know what it is? Because I'm sure, I remember I told you recently when we had a conversation, I was listening to a radio show, and the two hosts were talking about that, and I'm like, nope, you guys are wrong. You guys are wrong. So, can you explain to those who may not know what it is, what it is?
To
Explain to them what a poor man's copyright, or what the process is.
Now, kind of real simple. Used to be prior to this code, you could put your manuscript or your record, self-addressed, stamped envelope, send it to yourself, registered mail, sign for it, never open it, throw it in a shelf, and then you could go off and do whatever you want. If somebody tried to challenge, you could pull that package out from the drawer. See, here's when I created it. That used to be valid. No more. Okay. Now, an interesting thing when they did that, because so many people were inadvertently putting their stuff into the public domain, that with the current code, the 76 code, they eliminated the common law and they added a new little wrinkle. Your copyright comes into existence the second that here's the magic words, right? The second you fix it in a tangible medium of expression, your copyright just came into existence.
Okay.
And you get 6 rights. Make copies, derivative works. Quickly on derivative works, what's that? Well, think of a book. The book is the trunk of a tree. Okay, the book gets turned into a movie. The movie is a branch off the trunk. That's a derivative work. The book just turned into a musical. That's another branch off the trunk. That's a derivative work. Okay, so the book is the trunk, and all these other things that come from it are the branches from the trunk.
Okay.
Each of those branches is a derivative work. Money, by the way. Okay.
Yes,
Number
indeed.
3, you get to distribute the copies. And then number 4, bing, bing, bing. This is a biggie, particularly in music. The right to publicly perform the work.
Okay.
In our particular case, let's say a song.
Yeah.
Only the songwriter can play the song without having to pay for it. Anybody else plays that song, cha-ching. You hear a cash
Some money.
register. They paid somehow, some way.
Okay.
And then another great example, how about Dolly? Dolly Parton. On the same day she wrote I Will Always Love You and Jolene. We're done. As a songwriter, each one of those to Dolly has probably made conservatively $100 million.
Wow.
And she's got 9 to 5, and she's got this, and she's got that. That's why there's Dollyland.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay. All right. So there's a lot of money in songs. Now, again, so the minute that you fix it in a tangible medium of expression, these 6 rights, so copies, derivative, distribute, publicly perform. Number 5, publicly display. And then number 6 is a weird one. The owner of the sound recording is the only one who can turn it into a digital audio transmission and hit play. Now, who's generally the owner of a sound recording?
I would say the producer.
No, the record label. You're
Okay.
right, Charlie, because remember, Charles, when we talked to who's the original copyright holder of the sound recording? PEP, producer, engineer, performer.
Yeah.
So what happens? Work for hire. The record
Mm.
label makes all those people sign work for hire. So that sound recording gets into the hands of the
Got you.
record
Okay.
label. Okay. So number 6, the owner of the sound recording, the record label, is the only one who can turn it into an MP3 and hit play.
Got
So
you.
you
Okay.
get those 6 rights. Rub, you can't enforce them until you register. So if you might remember, fixation, registration, together.
Oh, yeah.
Squash the bug who's going to try and steal your song, right?
Oh, yeah.
Smash them. So fixation, registration, as soon as as close together filing wise as you can. And then
Definitely.
general rule, don't show anybody, don't let anybody hear it until you have at least filed.
Got you. Did you
Okay.
hear that? Make sure everybody heard that. Do not show anybody. Don't let anybody listen. Don't tell nobody until you've at least, at minimum, got it registered or filed.
Yes.
You said, right?
Say that again.
You say filed or registered?
Well, just get it filed.
Okay.
For the registration.
Got you. Okay.
Get that ball rolling. Because without it, somebody can steal your song and there's nothing you can do.
Okay. Got you. So perfect. So that was actually the next topic I want to discuss was copyrights, and you answered every question that I had within that one. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one, and we will go into what is a trademark and what is the importance of a trademark.
Yeah, good. Now, trademark also intellectual property, okay? And now trademark is 180 degrees different than copyright. 180, everything. If copyright is X, trademark is Y, okay? Completely different. but they kind of sit on top of each other. Okay, and I get the and so what copyright doesn't catch, trademark will. Now,
Okay.
trademark, the magic words are to get it into the stream of commerce. The policy behind copyright, we want to stimulate the arts and sciences, the useful arts and sciences. Okay, cool. Trademark, the magic words are in the stream of commerce. What's the policy? We do not want consumer confusion. Okay, so copyright, the way I put it, covers the bread. Trademark covers the package.
Okay.
Okay, and they are completely different right off the bat. Copyright, don't show, don't list, don't let anybody hear it. Don't show, don't play until you've registered.
Yeah.
Trademark, exactly the opposite. You don't really get it until you start using it.
Okay.
So you use it before. Okay. So again, I think I mentioned I wrote a children's book and we're turning it
Correct.
into an animated special.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of trademarking the logo of Theodore's Journey and Theodore's Plate. And then
Nice.
there's two types. You intend to use it. That's kind of really that's much more complicated.
Okay.
The better one is already in use. Have you already used it in commerce? That's the best.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing with Theodore because we've already sold some books and things like that. So we're already in the stream of commerce. So we're going with a 1B application
Got you.
already in use. Now, that's a perfect example again behind the differences. Copyright, don't show. Trademark, don't get it until you show. Okay?
Okay.
And start using it.
Yeah.
All right? And then there's the code lists 4, but there's really 5. They put 4 and 5 together. The first level is generic. Okay, that's the lowest. You will never get or trademark protection for a generic mark. What's a generic mark? Modem. Okay,
Okay.
I make modems, and my brand is Modem. Okay, MODEM. Will I get a trademark? No, too generic. Trademark Office is not going to let somebody tie up the word modem.
Yeah.
Now, what if I spell it MODUMB? Modem. Okay.
Okay.
Now I've raised actually up a little bit. Okay. And I've gotten into the second, maybe even to the third level. The second level is distinctive. Okay. That's a generic mark that has been raised up a level because it has gotten what's called secondary meaning.
Okay.
In the consumer's mind, good example that I use with my clients and students, honey baked hams. If that was just it, that's generic.
Yeah.
Would it get trademark protection? No, because there's a bunch of honey baked hams, right? But that brand, Honey Baked Hams, got into the market, established secondary meaning, basically meaning that consumers, when they hear golden or, baked hams, whatever it is,
Okay.
they think of that brand.
Mm-hmm.
Secondary meaning. That can start getting you into trademark. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'm going blank on the third one. but the last two are, I'll think of the other one in just, but the last two are lumped together, but they're really distinct: arbitrary and fanciful. Okay. Arbitrary. It has the name or the mark has no obvious relationship to the product. For example, Apple. Does Apple have anything to do with computers?
No,
No.
not at all.
It just was an arbitrary way of of naming it.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one that's very strong is fanciful. Made up words.
Okay.
Enron. Okay. A variety of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so, depending upon what category, then you'll get your trademark. And by the way, trademark deals with goods. Okay. And so, goods and services. So they have 45 categories of goods and services. Music, there's at least 5 categories that you would want to be in.
Okay.
Each category costs $250 plus the filing fee of $250. So, copyright, another big difference. $65 to apply, you're done.
Yeah.
Trademark, a couple $1,000 just in filing fees, and you have to keep filing stuff initially for 5 years, and then after that it goes to 10 years. And you have to say that you are still using it
Okay.
in commerce. Another big difference between copyright and trademark. Copyright, I get my certificate. I can put that book, movie, record on the shelf. Nobody can tell me to do anything with it. It's completely up to me. Trademark, exactly the opposite. The government says if you don't keep using it, you lose it.
Okay.
And that would be considered abandoned. Okay. And then you got to file these notices and so if you miss those notices that says we're continuing to use it, and you miss those notices, it will be considered abandoned, and anybody can start going after it. So if for some reason Coca-Cola fails to file its continued use document, Coca-Cola can be deemed abandoned, and anybody can run and go get Coca-Cola.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So again, you see those differences between those two aspects of intellectual property. Again, 180 degrees difference, but they kind of work hand in hand.
Yeah. So now, with all that being said in trademarks, and you probably answered it within giving your response, but just so listeners and viewers are clear on it, poor man's trademark is a thing.
That is a thing.
Got you. Okay.
That's another major difference between trademark and copyright. There is a common law trademark. If you use it, you do have some pretty solid protections.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if somebody has registered, you got a little bit of an uphill battle. But the bottom line with trademark, first to use it gets it.
Got you.
No matter who filed. If you can prove that you were using your product in the stream of commerce prior to the other person registering the mark, you'll win.
Okay. Got you. That's good to know. I'm sure.
Again, so completely different than copyright.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So now let's move into contracts. And so we'll start with the legal definition of a contract, and then you can just go in and kind of tell us the ins and outs, things to look out for. Obviously, we all know contracts are important, right? But kind of just give some more detail on why and things of that nature.
Okay. First of all, I guess, what's a contract? Okay, you can get into the legal books and it's that. Well, two of the leading contract scholars, in particular, Professor Farnsworth, real simple. A contract is a promise that we are going to enforce. A contract is a enforceable promise. Okay. All right. And that begs the question, what promises are we going to enforce and how? Okay. Now, there's two ways to deal with promises. First, all promises are good until we find out that they're bad. Very positive, very optimistic. Nobody lies. Okay. Everybody's telling the truth.
Yeah.
The second way, what do you think?
The opposite.
Everybody lies.
Yep.
Nobody's telling the truth. Okay. Which way do you think that the Western world, which option do you think they chose?
I'm going to just throw one out here, and I'm going to say that everybody's a liar.
Everybody's a liar. So, if you want to get your promise enforced, you've got to jump through a bunch of hoops. The first set of hoops is offer, acceptance, and consideration. Okay, what the heck is that? All right, well, offer. You've got to make a clear, I want to say, but you've got to make a clear declaration to the other party. The way I phrase it is, offer is, I promise to do A if you promise to do B.
Got you. Okay.
Offer. I promise to do A if you promise to do B. All right, step one. Step two, acceptance. The other guy says, I promise to do B if you promise to do A. Cool. That meets what's called the mirror image rule. The acceptance has to be exactly for what was offered. I'll give you $100 to do a track. Client says, no, I'll pay 75. There's been offer, but has there been acceptance?
No.
No. What's happened legally, he made a counteroffer. Legally, that counteroffer killed the first offer, and now the counteroffer is the offer.
Okay.
And now the first guy, mirror image rule, he has to either agree to exactly what party B said or make another counteroffer.
Okay.
And we keep playing the tennis ball until the tennis game until we finally get to the point, yes, I'll do A, yes, I'll do B. Good.
Okay.
Offer and acceptance. Now, we're not done yet. Offer and acceptance has to be supported by consideration. Okay? Consideration. Fancy word for basically saying both parties got to give up something and both parties have got to get something. Now, by the way, what they exchange, the value doesn't matter.
Okay.
So if Jack wants to trade his Rolls Royce for 3 magic beans, it's called the bargain theory. As long as the farmer and Jack shook hands, the law doesn't care about the value of what was exchanged.
Okay.
Okay? We refer to it as the peppercorn theory of consideration. One of those little peppercorns in that goddamn pepper mill when the waiter comes around.
Yep.
Stop. One of those little peppercorns can be traded for a Rolls Royce. As long as the people agreed upon it, perfectly cool. Okay?
Okay.
So, consideration, both parties have to give up something. Both parties have got to get something. And then, okay, good. And then you might remember I make the triangle, contract triangle, contract principle. And so then we've got the ground, and then we got to be aware of flaws. Because we want to build our contract, we want to build our pyramid on solid ground, not sand, not gravel, solid ground. So we've got to avoid certain flaws in formation. Okay. A couple big ones: ambiguity. The people don't understand each other. One thinks one thinks the other. They think they're thinking the same thing, but they're not. Okay.
Okay.
That'll get set aside. Another big one is mistake. Now, here, the parties understand each other absolutely clearly.
Yeah.
Except they're both wrong. In law school, that's Rosie the cow. Farmer A has a cow named Rosie. Farmer B wants to buy the cow. They negotiate a price, and the price is based upon the fact that both believe that Rosie is barren, that she can't have calves. Okay. Well, Farmer B takes Rosie, puts her out in the pasture. A little while later, all of a sudden, I don't know if it's the Immaculate Conception. Of course not. Some bull must have gotten into the pasture, and all of a sudden, Rosie is pregnant and is about to give a cow. Now, no pun intended in a second, what do you think Farmer A is doing? He's having a cow, right?
Yep.
And B is going, I just got a cow.
Yep.
Boy, what a deal I made, right? Well, Farmer A is saying, whoa, back that bus up, goes to court. As I put it in class, the pyramid falls over, built on sandy ground. Even though they understood each other completely, they were wrong.
Yeah.
And so what happens? The contract completely rescinded.
Okay.
Now, here's the question. Who gets to keep the cow? The baby cow.
I would say B does.
Nope, Farmer A.
Really?
That was not bargained for.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So all of that, and then of course Farmer A has to give Farmer B the money back.
Got you. Okay.
Right?
Okay, that makes sense.
And then they can make a new deal. And if they want Rosie with cow, new price.
Okay.
Okay.
Woo. Got you. Okay.
So go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just going to. My next question was: are verbal contracts valid? Do they hold up?
Yes, but again, as you know, in class, and actually, let me hang on. So my book, which you're familiar with,
Yes.
Charles,
I've got
is that kind of showing up okay?
Yeah. That's good right there. A little.
So,
Perfect.
Anyway, in my book, which you, of course, and I'm proud to say that this is the textbook for audio business at Crass.
Congratulations.
And what we were just mentioning, what cut me off on that?
Are verbal contracts valid?
Oh, yeah. If you notice in my contracts chapter, I lead with a quote from Samuel Goldwyn, the famous old movie producer, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And a verbal contract is not worth the paper that it's printed on.
Yep.
And that's a malaprop. He was famous for his malaprop. But the malaprop contains this little kernel, and you kind of go, oh. At first you go, what? Oh, I get it. Verbal contract, not worth the paper it's printed on. A verbal contract, there's no paper.
On paper, yep.
Right? Now, I do caution you. Yes, verbal contracts are enforceable. But what's the problem? He said, she said.
Yep.
So remember in class, and then I tell my clients, you will never again do anything without a piece of paper. Period.
Oh, yeah.
No more handshake and a kiss. And then they'll go, well, what about my best friend? Paper. What about my brothers and sisters? More paper.
I was going to say
What
even more
about my
paper.
parents? More paper. I mean, I know it's very rare, okay, but parents have been known to rip off their children
Yeah.
in the entertainment. I know it's very rare.
Yeah.
Please, I'm being sarcastic. It happens all the time. And by the way, be very careful about dealing with minors. Okay, there
Oh,
are
yeah.
a bunch of landmines there. For example, well, it all kind of started with, I hate saying kind of, it all started with a child actor named Jackie Coogan back in the 20s. He made a bunch of money as a little, child actor, right? It was kind of like him and Shirley Temple.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, Jackie Coogan's parents ripped off all of his money. Here's a kid who made like $1 million in the 20s. Do you know what
Wow.
I mean, and they took all of it. And so anyway, as a result of that, California in particular passed the Coogan's Law, and that started to protect child performers, music, film, theater, whatever. And then it took it to the point where I know California, and I'm licensed in New York, and I'm almost certain it's the same. Anything with a child actor has to be approved by the court. I know for sure that's in California. Now, I'm licensed in New York. I haven't had to deal with too many. I've never had to deal with a minor in California. I have had to deal with minors contracts in Arizona and in California. California, I know for sure it has to get court approval. That's how serious it is with kids. Yeah.
No, that makes sense too. I know, and this is there. I don't know if you're familiar with the rapper Soulja Boy. I know there was an issue with, and I don't know the details of it, but it's an issue with him and his mom. Same thing with contracts and the record label. Somebody ripping somebody off. And I don't know the ins and outs, but I remember hearing about it. And it's one of those things where you just assume that people would know better, but they don't. Or even if they do, some just don't even care. And so I think that comes back to the importance of finding somebody who's knowledgeable, even if it's simple as a consultation and saying, hey, look, this is where we're at. What can we do to make sure that we're protected, or whatever the case is? Because like you said, people, especially parents, family, just greedy, just crazy for whatever they can get their hands on.
And one of my Nebgenisms is kind of a double, which is you must always act as if there's $1 million on the table, because there is.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think Rod Temperton planned on making $150 million when he was writing Thriller?
Probably not.
He's going, okay, hey, I'm writing a great. I hope. Oh, we get it to Michael. Okay, great, right? But did he think that he was going to get $150 million? No. But you got to think that way. You got to first, when you got to act as if there's $1 million on the table, because there is. Second, when there's $1 million on the table, people change.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop. No exceptions. Now, I have encountered a couple of saints, a couple of really good people. They got, a bunch of money, and they stayed even keel. But that's a real rarity.
Yeah.
What happens? They see $1 million, and everybody starts coming out of the woodwork because they want a piece.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So you will never again do anything without a piece of paper. The closer the relationship, the more paper you need.
Definitely. So real quick, let's touch on, and you can just give like a brief overview, but on a split letter or recording engineer contract, what kind of details would those entail if somebody was going one of those two routes?
Yeah. Well, first, for the split letter, that has to do with songwriting. And so when you write a song, remember, when You fix it in a tangible medium of expression, your copyright comes into existence. Okay, who did the fix it? So generally, the copyright for a song will be with the songwriter.
Yeah.
Okay. But what many people do not know, even in our industry, is there's a second copyright in a recorded piece of music. There's a copyright in the sound recording. Okay. And so one of the first things you want to do is copyright both aspects, right? And then remind me a little bit more of what you were saying.
Just a little bit of the details for a split letter and a recording engineer contract.
Right. And so the split letter has to do with songwriting. And the big deal here is if there's two or more writers of a song and there's no split letter, two things happen, and both can be really bad. First, if there's no split letter, two or more writers, no matter what they contributed, they each get equal shares. So let's say that, let's keep it simple. There's two writers. One guy did 95, the other guy did 5. No split letter, they're 50-50. Is that fair to the 95? No. So that's one thing. It gives proper splits. Okay. And again, the
recording engineer.
Well, let me finish with the split letter. So it establishes. So, the second thing. Oh, how could I forget this? Okay. No split letter. Any one of those two writers can make a deal for the use of that song without the permission of the other, but they do have to share the money. Okay. Again, in class and with my clients, I think most people are hopefully just familiar with this product from advertising, but preparation H. All right. Now it has to do with a certain part of our body. I happen to be sitting on it right now. Okay. Well, preparation H went to the Johnny Cash estate and wanted to use, guess what song? Burning Ring of Fire. Now, luckily, they had their act together. By the way, Johnny Cash, another good one, Johnny Cash didn't write Burning Ring of Fire. His wife, June Carter Cash, and another songwriter did.
Okay.
And they were approached, and luckily, they had their wits about themselves, and they said, there's no way our song is going to get connected with that.
Heck no.
Okay? But if one of those two was in a bind and needed some bucks, he or she could have made a deal with Preparation H for $1 million, and there's nothing that the other writer could do except take the $500,000.
Yeah.
But now, for all time, Burning Ring of Fire is associated with Preparation H. There's not a amount of money in the world that you could give me to have my song associated with that product. It's just, but a split letter addresses both of those. So 95 and 5, split letter, 95 and 5. Okay. Preparation H comes to both. One says, one says yes, one says no. Doesn't happen.
Got you.
Okay. So very important. So that's a split letter. The recording engineer agreement, a couple special things there is right off the bat, work for hire.
Yeah.
Okay. Because in a sound recording, remember, the copyright is initially in the person who fixed it in a tangible medium of expression. With a song, who did that? The songwriter. Okay, cool. With the sound recording, who did that? Pep, the producer, the engineer, and the performer. Those three have the initial copyright. in the sound recording. Okay.
Gotcha.
And so what happens in the recording engineer agreement is, as you might remember, there's the work for hire
Yeah.
clause. And it says everything that we're going to be doing is work for hire. You, client, you own it. So that's a big thing in the recording engineer
Yeah.
agreement. Okay. Number of tracks, delivery, those types of things. And then obviously we talk about, because one of the big deals, if somebody wants to use a cover, now a cover is someone else's interpretation or somebody's interpretation of someone else's song.
Yeah.
Okay. You might remember in class we played All Along the Watchtower. Now, this is another one that you can make some money at the cocktail party, right? But many people do not. Who wrote All Along the Watchtower? Bob Dylan. Who does everybody think? Jimi Hendrix. That's a cover. That's also an example of a cover exceeding the original. Okay. Our other big one, Whitney.
Yep.
Right? I Will Always Love You. Dolly had a big hit with that on the country chart, so on and so forth. But it gets into Bodyguard. Whitney covers it. Come on, that song blows.
I was going to say it took off.
I want to say that Whitney's version it's certainly, I know this for sure, it is certainly the highest selling cover of all time of any song. Okay. Even out rivaling the Beatles when they covered a couple, Chuck Berry, and they covered a couple songs, right? And so anyway, cover and then sampling. And you might remember Mike Crane. You go over, you take a chunk of one recording, you bring it over, and you drop it into your recording.
Yeah.
A sample. So in the recording and point here in the recording engineer agreement, you need to address those because the law doesn't say who's supposed to get them. So you want to make sure CYA, it ain't me, baby. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so indemnification, transfer the risk from one party to another. So again, in the recording engineer agreement, I make it very clear that if the artist is going to use a sample, they've got to get the clearances.
Yep.
If they're going to do a cover, they've got to get mechanical license.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So those are some very important considerations in the recording engineer agreement.
They definitely are. I think they're huge too because, and we'll touch on this. And for those who don't know, we're bringing back Professor next week to continue on with this, and we'll go into some more stuff about sampling. But it's a process, and we'll give some examples next week of the dangers if you don't get all the necessary things you need regarding covers, samples, mechanical licensing, all that good stuff. But that's something that we'll cover in part 2 as well. So, but with that being said, Professor, that will conclude part 1.
Okay.
And so I most certainly appreciate these conversations, and I'm sure that our viewers and listeners will as well, because again, it's a lot of information that they might have heard about, but they don't really know the ins and outs. And I think, this session and part 2 are going to be really huge in helping people get a better understanding. And it also helps them understand the importance of at least consulting with an attorney of your nature, to get a better understanding and kind of getting some templates, some ins and outs, whatever information that they may need to protect themselves as they move forward in the entertainment industry and whatever, film, music, TV, whatever it is, having somebody with your knowledge and having somebody on, have their back, like you, I think is huge. So I'm sure, they're going to just love this one and the next one as well.
Great. And you mentioned something right there, which is in other mediums, music, there's issues regarding music being used in film.
That's right.
Being used in commercials, so on and so forth. What type of can Well, let's stay with Preparation H. Could Preparation H just gone out and started using Burning Ring of Fire? No. They had to get what was called a sync license to use the song and a master use license to use the sound recording. So that would be a couple other things that we might want to
Perfect.
touch on next week.
Oh no, definitely, yeah. So that being said, make sure you guys come back next week, because next week we are going to be doing again part 2, and we're going to be covering licensing. We're going to dive into that, as he said, master use and sync licensing, what you need, what they are used for. We're going to dive more into sampling, and we'll give some examples.
Oh,
We'll give some examples of some samples that have been used over time. We're going to talk about music publishing and music publishing companies, the importance to those. Do you need them? If so, why do you need them? We're also going to cover some pros, which is your performance rights organizations. We'll get into which ones those are as well, what they do. And then we're going to have, at the conclusion of part 2, we're going to have the professor just give some advice, straight from his experience and all that stuff. And we're also going to do a rapid fire where we're going to put him on the spot and ask him a few questions just so everybody can get to know him a little bit better. So that'll be part 2 as we continue on. But again, Professor, we thank you for your time and all your information. Real quick,
I guess shameless plug again.
I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead and let them know how they can find you and find your book.
The book is Entertainment Law Music, or How to Roll in the Rock Industry, and it's available on Amazon and various places, and it's $35. And I'm very proud. It's getting a very, very strong reception, and many people are even mentioning it in the same breath as Donald Passman's book. And Mr. Passman, he's kind of the top of the top of the mountain for music and entertainment law. So to be in the same breath with Mr. Passman is very good.
Very nice. Good to hear.
Is nice affirmation.
Definitely. So, Professor, you want to give them an email address or some contact info?
Oh, yeah.
Just so they can reach out should they have any questions after watching part 1.
Yeah. So I think the easiest is, it's a mouthful, but get a hold of me through email. And my email is snebgen. So S, N as in Nancy, E as in Edward, B as in boy, G as in girl, E as in Edward, N as in Nancy, at azentertainmentlaw.com. snebgen at azentertainmentlaw.com. I know it's a mouthful, but if you say it once or twice, you get it.
Perfect. So that is how you can find the professor. In the meantime, again, please join us for part 2 as we cover a bunch of other great topics. And I think for today we are out. Professor?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Charles.
Of course. And we'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good.